I'd like to follow along for a moment. Turn over to John chapter 1. John chapter 1, beginning in verse 1. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things were made through him, and without him nothing was made that was made. In him was life, and the life was the light of men. And the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness did not comprehend it. There was a man sent from God whose name was John. This man came for a witness, to bear witness of the light, that all through him might believe. He was not the light, but was sent to bear witness of that light. That was the true light which gives light to every man coming into the world. He was in the world, and the world was made through him, and the world did not know him. He came to his own, and his own did not receive him. But as many as received him, to them he gave the right to become children of God, to those who believe in his name, who were born not of blood, nor of the will of the flesh, nor of the will of man, but of God. This past week's holiday was a little bit different for me than about 2 years ago. And I sat, as is difficult for me sometimes, quietly off and on, observing family and friends and contemplating a few different things in preparation for this week and for the moment that I knew I'd be up here. And I was struck over and over again by someone I'm very close with, who they and their spouse were playing with their young child, now about 8 months old, doling over them, taking care of their every need, tending to them in the middle of the night, how much they love that child. And if you didn't know them extremely well, you wouldn't know the full backstory of it, and it's a backstory that I'm sure there's folks in this room that have experienced before themselves. But 2 years ago, I watched that same young mother hold a relative's child in her arms and cry. She was on about her second or third miscarriage at that point. It's things you don't talk about a lot when you're young, things you don't really realize until you're older, how common that is for folks to endure. And until it's either happened to you or to someone you're close with, someone you love, and you witness the effects it can have, it's difficult to imagine. And in 2 years' time, things were transformed. From nothing but sadness and difficulty and pain to all of that being a distant memory and nothing but joy, because they had a child of their own in their arms. That kind of kept punching me in the gut this week. It kept punching me in the gut because I kept thinking about getting up here this morning and talking about any number of things as it relates to the crucifixion of Jesus. And more than anything, all I could help think of was, what position have I put God the Father in? The one of someone who wants so badly a child to love, or of someone who's been able to welcome a child home, to be known and to know them, to love and to be loved by them. It's a difficult thing to comprehend. It's a difficult thing to try and put yourself in the shoes of God at times. But I can't help but wonder, when he looked down at humanity and saw the lost state that each and every one of us possessed at one point in our life, and maybe still do to this day from time to time, if there was not a pit in his stomach, a stabbing in his heart, wanting to be able to give the right to become children of God, wanting nothing more than to welcome us home. That right does not come freely. It comes freely to us. But if you learn anything as a child from a good parent, it's that there's nothing in this world that comes free. Somebody has to pay for it. And what it took to fill that void, what it took for us to become known as children of God, what it took for us to be made whole, was the price of a father who loved his children enough that he was willing to give one of them for the rest. As we partake this morning of the bread, as we partake of the cup, and we remember that sacrifice of Jesus, I'd encourage you to remember the sacrifice of a father. The love of a father who loved us when we loved not him, who wanted to know us when we did not want to know him, who wanted a relationship with us when we wanted no relationship with him. And I'll leave you with the lyrics to a song we often sing that I think best embodies this. How deep the Father's love for us, how vast beyond all measure, that he should give his only Son to make a wretch his treasure. How great the pain of searing loss, the Father turns his face away, as wounds which mar the chosen one bring many sons to glory. Behold the man upon a cross, my sin upon his shoulders. Ashamed, I hear my mocking voice call out among the scoffers. It was my sin that held him there until it was accomplished. His dying breath has brought me life. I know that it is finished. So I will not boast in anything, no gifts, no power, no wisdom, but I will boast in Jesus Christ, his death and his resurrection. Why should I gain from his reward? I cannot give an answer. But this I know with all my heart, his wounds have paid my ransom. Why should I gain from his reward? I cannot give an answer. But this I know with all my heart, his wounds have paid my ransom.